Okay, welcome back to the main section of today's podcast, where I am joined by a wonderful guitarist and songwriter called Dave from Adult Leisure. Hello, Dave.
Hi, mate. How are you? You right?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Yeah, not too bad at all.
Good. I'm very much looking forward to today. There's kind of a tiny bit of history between Music Fishbowl and Adult Leisure in a way, because I believe I reviewed one of your singles maybe a year or two ago.
Okay.
I either did it for Northern Exposure magazine or before I was even part of Northern Exposure magazine. I don't know, but I definitely did
Okay.
review it. And then I got an email from your promoter, Jade, is
Hmm.
it? And she mentioned your name in the email. I thought, hang on, that's that band that I really like, who I've just listened to their album of and thought was fantastic. So I was like,
Cool.
I better drop her an email and see if I can interview one of the band members.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, thank you for coming on. So yeah, how are you today? I should ask that really.
yeah. Do you know what? I'm really well actually. We've just got back from America, and it was my first ever long haul flight.
Mm.
And the time difference and the jet lag is the first I've ever experienced it. So I got back Friday, and I feel just about normal today.
Mm.
It's really hard with the kind of like the way there was fine because we sort of gained 5 hours, but when you come
Yeah.
back, it's all of a sudden it's the evening and you barely had a day, and then you can't sleep because obviously your body clock's all over the place. But back to normal now. So I'm feeling today's probably my first normal day I've had.
Yeah, I should actually ask, because I was mentioning to I was talking to Jade about well, Jade mentioned it to me in our email chain. What were you doing out in the US?
So we played two festivals. We played New Colossus in New York in the Lower East Side, which is incredible, and then we did South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. So it was surreal because we were out there for like 3 weeks. So it's like a big chunk of time to be away from
Mm.
home, and first proper experience of that. But absolutely incredible.
Yeah, they're big
Um,
festivals as well, aren't they?
yeah. Like it's it's just surreal because you kind of it's completely different like cultures, and you kind of not worry, but you kind of sort of think how you're going to come across in another country, whether it's going to be liked, or whether it's their vibe or whatever. But
Mm.
no, it seemed to go really well. Like, so we look forward to getting back, which I think potentially be quite soon.
Sounds good. That yeah, I mean, I've got
Yeah.
American listeners, so that's my second biggest market is the US.
Oh, really?
So yeah, hopefully someone's listening and is nearby enough to a festival where they can come along and see you live. I will ask the first question that I usually ask every
Yeah.
artist. I haven't asked it yet, but the first question I ask is always, just for those who haven't heard your music before, what genre would you say best describes your music?
Um, it's a really strange one, that, because I think it it completely relies on what your point of preference is. Because, like, to a younger audience, we probably sound a bit like The Cure, bit Smithsy, bit
Mm.
Talking Heads. But to like the older heads, we probably sound a bit like Peter Gabriel, Phil Collins, Tears for Fears, which is
Mm.
all like huge influences on us. But I would probably say somewhere in between, like a heavy Tears for Fears mixed with sort of a little bit of new wave, post-punky sort of stuff. Not post-punky, sorry, new wave, but
Yeah.
big choruses. Basically, we that's the one thing we basically always strive to have, is just catchy chorus or something big in the song.
Well, that's something I see in reading reviews, in researching for this episode. I see come up time and time again is a lot of journalists describe you with, as having sort of this retro sensibility back to, the 80s and early 90s, and I can hear that in your music as well. To be fair,
Yeah.
the influences do shine through a lot. I need to ask another question as well, because I don't always have to ask this one, but you are obviously part of a band. So can you introduce the band and its members and what they
Of
play
course.
and what they do, if that's okay?
Yeah. So my name's Dave. I'm the guitarist and songwriter, and then you have Neil Scott, who is the singer, lead singer and vocalist and songwriter as well. And then you have Luke Denham on bass, and you have Nathan Searle on drums, and all four of us make up Adult Leisure.
Yeah. So how did adult leisure sort of come to be then? How did that start as a concept?
So I think it was just before COVID, which seems in itself like 100 years ago now. But
Yeah.
all of our sort of subsequent bands had broken up for quite a while, because we all used to play and gig together around Bristol, and me and my friend James, who's the original bassist, wanted to start something new, and I didn't want to be the singer, and I was just like, I want to start a new band where it's a little bit more up front, it's a little bit more faster, kind of getting that influence of Bristol at the time, which was very sort of like post-punky,
Mm,
idolsy. Um, Obviously, I'm not sort of saying that we were going to be heavy like that, but I just wanted to do something a lot more
yeah.
sort of louder sounding. And then because I didn't want to be the singer, obviously, I then sort of went through everyone I knew who was in bands, and I
Yeah.
said Neil. I was like, he's a brilliant singer. So we asked him. He was like on board straight away. And then me and James always loved whenever we were playing with these bands. Nave's old band was called Towers, and whenever we used to sound check or be around their sound check, the first thing we'd say is like, that guy really hits the drums
Mm,
hard. Like,
yeah.
and we loved it. We were like, we loved the way his drum kit sounded. Like, and it's you ask anyone, like your band is as good as your drummer,
Yeah.
and he's like the absolute mammoth like rock
Mm,
behind us. So we asked him, and he was like, yeah, I'm in. And then we kind of did everything a bit backwards, because rather than going out and just playing straight away and be sort of like, doing support slots and things like that, we couldn't do anything because of COVID. So we
mm,
kind of did everything backwards. We went and recorded, and then we shot videos, and we had like imagery up, and we got that side of it all done first. So it was quite nice. So our first ever show, we sold out the Louis in Bristol,
mm,
and it was unreal because it was like people had heard of you,
yeah.
but it's your first show. But obviously, because they
Mm,
had all of the stuff sort of predating it,
yeah.
and yeah, and then since then it's just been a case of recording, doing loads. But that's how we started. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I'm starting to notice more and more when I speak to artists is that if you're a band who was pre-existing like before COVID and were playing shows and had a fan base, it either made or broke you, right?
yeah,
During COVID, you either converted and whatever you were doing, whether it be live streaming, etc., either gained following or you lost all that momentum. But I'm also noticing that bands that started just before, where they hadn't had time to build up the momentum of their band, were
yeah,
able to focus on generating and creating the audience fully 100%, which it sounds like is what you were able to do. I mean, what did
yeah.
that involve? How did you sort of build up the audience without
So
being able to get out there?
yeah, so I think we so we recorded straight, like, first of all, so we actually had material
Mm,
to like put out and release, and then we released a video for our first single called The Things You Don't Know Yet. And I remember we recorded that, put that out, and it was how we had loads of images. Like Instagram was like, people was like
mm,
that, doing the kind of horrible stuff you have to do when you start an account,
mm,
like asking
yeah.
your mates and mates and mates to sort of like it. Um, and then we kind of got a little bit of a buzz around that. And then, yeah, as soon as sort of live shows happened, it all came into place. But it's kind of a really important lesson that, like, that we really enjoy it, like all of the extra stuff, like the kind
Mm,
of, I hate the word, but content, right?
yeah.
Um, but if you enjoy it, it's like actually a really nice part of the job.
Yeah.
Uh, As you're probably aware, it's like
Yes, I
it,
enjoy doing it for the podcast. Anything that's
yeah,
podcast related, I love doing it. I love
yeah,
putting out content on social media. I'm
yeah,
gonna go and film. It's my birthday. I'm going into central London to film a load of content. Is what I'm
yeah,
doing.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
But
I
that's
just love
it.
that stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
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 carry on. Anyway, sorry.
yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right, because it's kind of, um, you also have, like, from like an artistic point of view, you have like total say on what you
Yeah.
look like, which is really cool. Like, especially if you're, because I think it's so important, like as a band or as a artist or whatever, is to be multifaceted, because I think I always, when I write music, I always visualize it anyway. It always
Yeah,
has a scene to it, so it's always visual. It's never like a kind of um, I just have this idea and put it to whatever you want. Like it has
yeah,
to fit the mold of something in your head, and I think if you can then be in control of your imagery, and then you can also be in control of like the video you shoot around it, or just
yeah,
like the clips you put online, like to some people it could be considered quite like laborious or just a bit like, oh, do you have to do it?
mm,
But I would generally say, like, make the most of it while you can. Like if like
yeah,
take full control of who you are as an artist, and add that string to your bow, which every band has to be now. You can't just be a band, you've got to be like content creator,
yeah,
graphic designer, like, do you know what I mean?
yeah,
But if you love it, like it can be really, really amazing. Like
yeah.
it's a lot of opportunity there to kind of have fun.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's an extension of the art anyway, I
Yeah.
always think, and, yeah, but there's also the fact that, that algorithm, I mean, TikTok's algorithm's so strong at the moment for artists, it's like it probably won't be that way forever as
No.
well, so you have to kind of take advantage of it whilst it's there, and I
Yeah.
got asked at the weekend, I was interviewed, live in person before a gig with, by someone, and, they asked me what my advice to artists would be, and I gave some advice, like in-person advices and like being out in front of fans and things, but also I said just get posting
Yeah.
online and keep doing it. And artists like, I think it's Somber, isn't it, they blew up online, and that's kind of
Mhm.
how they ended up getting to where
Yeah.
they are and winning awards. And it's a very forgive the use of the word profitable, but it is a very profitable
It is.
endeavor, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think don't get me wrong, like I think TikTok is its own beast musically.
Mm,
I think um because it is so I think the best bit of advice, oh, who said it? I can't remember. Some basically said is TikTok isn't there for music fans.
no,
It's there just to get people to go to your music.
yeah,
So you're not going to capture anyone's sort of attention span by posting like a music video or something like that,
mm,
because it's just it's not, you're not on TikTok for that.
no,
You're on TikTok just to like doom scroll. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? And that's fine. But the whole point of TikTok is just like put a big enough bait on a hook to get it over to the music. I
yeah,
think that's like it's a really good tool that can help a lot. I think the jury's still out on whether there's actually any longevity in the artists that come from TikTok.
mm,
I think it does wonders for bands that are already like established, and just creates like
yeah,
it's always really interesting when you see there's like bands that you can tell didn't need TikTok.
yeah,
So like if
yeah,
you were to like go on to like Fontaine's DC's TikTok, it's not going to be them doing like a dance.
no,
Do you know what I mean?
no,
It's going to be just like clips of them playing in front of like 30,000 people,
yeah,
and like
yeah,
it can be aesthetically very cool because
mm,
they don't need your likes or clicks. And I think that's the problem with like younger bands at the minute. You think, I just want to put like a moody video up, and it's like
yeah,
that's fine, but if you've only got like 5 or 10 people viewing it, that's not enough to like draw people in. So it's just like understanding like kind of what it's there to do, and it's just another resource. But
yeah,
yeah, I think bear in mind I went from a proper like bar humbug about it as well.
yeah.
So I'm now, you're now chatting to the converted here.
To a converter, yeah.
Yeah, so I was in there. I was such a granddad about it.
Well,
But
yeah, I mean, it is the 10% of the 10%, isn't it? There's 10% of people in the world that are music fans. No, there's not. There's not even 10% of that. There's music fans. 10% of those music fans are interested in new music. 10% of them actually seek and find
yeah,
of
yeah,
that 10% actually seek and find the new music.
yeah,
And that 10% of the early adopters who spread it to the other 10%. And that's
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of what you need to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, 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 exactly. And it's just all that's happened is just the media type has changed. It used
Yeah.
to be television and magazines, now it's content, and
Yeah.
it's it's human nature. Like content's got quicker because our brain is just going, right, content. Like I just need constant satisfaction,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I think we'll find out in the long term whether that's good for us or not. Probably not.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
it will implode. It will eventually
yeah,
implode.
yeah,
The world
yeah.
can't go on like this in terms of media. It just can't. It will
It
implode.
won't. Do you know
You
what?
know.
I've got a theory. I reckon that in the next 5 or so years, I reckon you'll see, like, I reckon, like, it will revert.
Yeah,
I think it'd be uncool to use, like, social
yeah.
media, and I genuinely see a time where, like, long form media comes back, like TV
Yeah.
shows come
I
back.
mean, we live in a nostalgia-driven society,
Yeah.
right? And it's kinda like it's nostalgia for a time period you didn't live in. So
Yes.
anyone who's grown up like,
Yeah.
you know, I say it's my birthday. My birthday is the birthday when you don't say your age, you say you're nearly 30. That's the birthday I'm coming
Oh,
to. But
mate.
I remember that time before
Yeah,
still.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm kind of the last bit that remember when TV was king. Like,
Yeah.
so I still have that, but below me, they don't, and they might
Yeah.
get that nostalgia. I
And
don't
that's
know.
you're exactly right. It's that kind of, it's that longing for a time you weren't sort of around for. And it's just great, really, because, like, obviously the minute the 90s is back in,
Yeah.
and if you're gonna redo a decade, one hell of a like decade to redo. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like,
Yeah, I
that's
know.
proper like
Yeah,
hedonistic lifestyle to the max. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting new world. Let's talk about coming out of using, obviously, social media and creating music during lockdown. What happened
Yeah.
then when you started to play live? You said you sold out your first show, right?
Yeah, so we played a place called Louisiana in
Mm,
Bristol, which is like a really, like, it's quite a historic venue. A lot of bands do their first tour run there. So, like,
mm,
some of the posters are incredible. It's like Muse, Amy Winehouse,
yeah,
Green Day from like '93. It's
mm,
a 150 cap room.
yeah.
So it's like been in Bristol for years. So we played there and sold out that show, humble brag. And then we I can't remember, it feels like so long ago now. It was only 4 years. Then we got Jade on board. So Jade's our manager.
Mm,
She came down and watched us at the show, took us on, and then just over the years we kind of then worked. We've always been really on it with a plan.
mm,
Um, I think, excuse me, I think sometimes in like in a band or an artist or doing music or doing art or whatever, it's kind of a case of going, I'm just going to do this, see what happens, and then later down the line, oh, I suppose I'll release another single and stuff like that. And
mm,
that's great for, like, if you're just experimenting or you're trying to find your feet and stuff. But we were never like that. We were kind of like, right, this is what the goal is. This is where we want to be in a certain time frame. How do we get there? And, like, what's the next step? And who do we ask for help? And, so we were kind of very on it from the beginning, where we just went, right, that first gig there, it's really important that that sells out. It wasn't a case of like, oh, best of luck, see what happens.
yeah,
It was a statement. It was to go, our first ever show, sell out,
yeah,
and then you build from that. So it was all sort of calculated and being like, right, that needs to sell out, and then we need to get someone here, and then we need to
yeah,
play further afield, and then we need to release music. And so we released our first EP, and then singles, and an album. And we say, like, we like make music,
mm,
like how we consume music. So, like,
mm,
our album came out in October, but we're already like itching to get stuff out,
yeah,
because,
yeah,
to us, obviously, we've been sat on those songs for a lot longer, like almost all last
yeah,
year, and then it's out. It's only been out half a year, and we need to get another single out.
yeah,
But more importantly, we need to have the next 4 done, because
mm,
we need to release it every sort of 8 weeks or so. Not
yeah,
because that's what it tells us to do, because us as a band, we're just like, we want to get more music out and keep people's interests, but also keep our interest.
yeah,
Because, like I said, we consume it like we make it. So it's kind of, we're done now with the album. I mean, if people are just listening to it, it's amazing. This is the
yeah.
album. Um,
I agree. I think it's a fantastic
yeah,
record. I genuinely
but
do.
but ask me if I think it's a fantastic album. Yes, I do. Would I listen to it? No,
Yeah.
because
On to
I've
the
listened
next
to it.
thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just, I think as well, it's like such a good learning curve. You kind of get your first full length LP put out, and you kind of have that fuzzy period of, because you've heard the song so many times,
Yeah.
you listen to the album, it kind of just like feels like white noise. You're just like, okay,
Mm.
and you give yourself like a couple of months not listening to it, and when you hear it for the first time, I was just like, oh God, I want to do so many different things now. It was
Yeah,
almost a kind of really lovely start. That's how
yeah,
I saw it. And I
yeah,
think that's kind of going back to your point of like how we sort of work is we're not ones to like rest on our laurels or kind
yeah.
of be happy with we will never be like, oh, that's good enough.
Mm.
It's kind of like we'll sweat over the minor details and everything has to be as good as we can do it. But then on to the next thing. Sorry, I
Yeah.
rambled on a bit there. Sorry, mate.
No, no, no. That's completely fine. Completely fine. That's the kind of answers we like. I want to ask about the band dynamic then. So when you go in and you create, as you say, how does that operate as a band? Because you say yourself, you're the songwriter, but how does it go from just an initial idea through to actually being a fully recorded and fledged song?
Yeah, so I've got a little studio at home and it will literally be a case of I write the blueprint of the song. So
Hmm.
the kind of loose structure, the melody, and all the sort of parts that are
Yeah.
there, and the general kind of sound to the song. And then before we take it to the studio, it then gets put into the group chat, and then everyone listens. And straight away, that would be a case of like, yes, we really like it. No, it's rubbish. I would do this, blah blah blah. Blah. And then it kind of comes back to me to be like, oh, okay, like change this bit, we'll try this bit there. And then once we're all happy with the demo, it will then get sent, and we use Hum Studios in Bristol,
Mm.
and we're lucky enough to have like 2 days there a month.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we kind of go demo. Once we're all happy with it, and there'll be like 4 or 5 demos floating around at once where you're kind of
Mm.
like umming and ahhing about it and stuff.
Yeah.
And then that gets sent as soon as everyone's happy, and then goes to the studio where it's all we start with the drums and we build up the song,
Yeah.
and then there's an awful lot of sometimes the song's done and you're just like perfect, no
Mm.
changes, but then we've also got that bit of extra time that even when we're recording it properly, that we can still take it back and go, actually, this needs to change because the environment changes. You know, if I'm just using like a MIDI drummer, like awfully putting in a drum beat,
Yeah.
compared to when Nath then plays the song, he'll tell me what the tempo should be because he'll be
Mm.
like, that's how you naturally play it, and then
Yeah.
change it all that way. So yeah, the concept starts with me, and then it gets blossomed out straight away, and then that's why it's like, even though I have the original idea, it's very much a band process by the time anyone else hears it.
Yeah, it's collaborative 100% all the
Yeah,
way
exactly.
through,
Yeah,
other
yeah, yeah.
than the first moment of the song's conception,
Yeah,
really, isn't it?
exactly. It's exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I'm always keen to talk about collaboration because so many artists that I speak to collaborate because obviously on the independent circuit, you do naturally people do help each other out and do think whether it's artist to artist or it just be within a group of people. I'm always
Mm.
very intrigued to ask about that. Are there any times where you collaborated on any specific songs or anything like that where the initial idea is completely actually different to what ended up happening because of collaboration?
Um, this is me trying not sound like a dictator now. No.
Oh.
No, I'm trying to think actually. Has there been any? No, but they're definitely better.
Mm. With
When I
significant
think,
contributions, I guess.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
but mainly because as well because like I write like quite a lot.
Mm.
Um, it's kind of it's kind of like the song has to like hit the ground running from
Yeah.
the off, and to even kind of make it through like the preliminary round of even talking about it. So if it's a really good concept and idea, I think with music especially, it's absolutely really important that you
Mm.
have collaborators. But on a slightly egotistical note, I think the best music is written by someone with a vision
Yeah.
of that song because it's God, that sounded so ego-y then, didn't it?
Well, no, I don't think it does though. I think it's a song should work when put down to its bare bones. I
Yeah,
mean, I've got a friend who's a wonderful singer called Gemma Dorset, right? And when she sings any song a cappella, just naturally in conversation, because you talk about music or whatever, it just works because it's a
Yeah.
great song, and that kind of just makes sense. It should work at its bare bones, right?
Yeah, I think as well, it's exactly that, and I think it's more a case of, if you've, like, created that piece of music or whatever, and like I said earlier, like, I visualize as well with the music. It's very
Mm,
hard then to kind of, it's one, it can be, like, extremely personal, but also it's difficult to sort of explain to someone a vibe of a song. But to be
mm,
honest, like, it's incredibly lucky because we're all very much on the same page as that. But I think that's to answer your question, like whether something's massively changed.
yeah,
But it's definitely more a case of collaborative and making it a band song. Because I
yeah,
also, as much as I write it, I hate, I would hate to it to be thought of as a me song. Do you know what I
mm,
mean?
yeah,
Because it's
yeah,
not. But by the time that anybody's heard that song, that has had everybody's hands in. That's like, that is a song that has been made by us. But I
mm,
think you need, and by the way, that could be any member of the band. I think
yeah,
um, Queen famously, like every one of their songs, whether like Brian May wrote it or Freddie Mercury or Roger Taylor
mm,
or even John Deacon, if they wrote it, they
mm,
saw it through. Like it
yeah,
was
yeah,
their song. It's still
yeah,
Queen, like it's still a Queen
yeah,
song,
and
but
they still all make, contributions as well.
exactly. But it's purely just from the perspective of, if you're the, if that you have the thing in your head,
Yeah,
that's the easiest route to do. Just
yeah.
do the thing that's in your head. But yeah, so basically, I'm an egomaniac, and none of my songs have been changed.
No, I wouldn't say that. But I tell you what, I do want to ask about some of the songs though now.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask you about one of my favorite songs of yours, and then I'm going to ask you about the new single.
cool.
One of my favorite songs of yours is on The Things You Don't Know Yet, and it's the opening track, Hold Me Close.
Oh yeah,
That is, I love this track. I just love how it kicks off the album. I just think it's fantastic. Just as an opener, it
yeah,
introduces who you are and the sound of the album straight away. Can you tell me more about what that song's all about?
yeah. So that, strangely enough, I think it was actually one of the later demos for the album,
Mm,
um, where we kind of like shaped the sound of it. We knew we wanted something that was like a really distinctive opener to the album, and then with that little riff at the beginning, and it kind of like comes in huge after that. We thought, oh,
mm,
this is perfect. I'm trying to think now. Hold me close. Because this, our songs, like, what's kind of good is, so like I write non so I'll write non-autobiographically.
mm.
Biographically, I'll write. So I never
Yeah,
personally write things about that happened to myself. It's always like a kind of story that
yeah,
lean on experience, right?
yeah.
Where
Using
Neil's
characters and things, and
exactly that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Whereas like what Neil's really, really amazing at is like
mm,
he's very good at writing from a personal experience.
mm,
So I think on that one, it's like that was one which started off as just um, kind of placeholdery lyrics, and then Neil took that, and then I think has it made it a lot more personal.
yeah,
Obviously, I'm not going to go into details about what it's about, but also I think as much as you can sort of explain what song's about, I think part of the magic is not, and just having
yeah,
people have it is a little thing. But
yeah,
I agree with you though. It's that's our set opener as well. We
yeah.
open all our shows with that. It's like a proper. It's like, I would say it's like a pretty accurate introduction to the band.
Yeah, no, actually that leads me into before I ask about the new single, I'll ask about, because I was going to ask this afterwards anyway. I'll ask about, what does an adult leisure show look like? What's that like?
So we're it's really strange. Like our music isn't kind of, we're not like a punk band and we're not like a
Mm,
heavy rock band, but like we play that way. So
mm,
we play like a punk band. We play
yeah,
and that's just based on like us growing up, uh like the bassist Luke and myself, like we grew up on sort of MTV2,
yeah,
CKY, like that kind of alternative culture
yeah,
of sort of the early 2000s, where
mm,
everything was just played as hard as possible. That kind of Green Day era of playing every show as if it's like, it's all a bit crazy. So
yeah,
that's how we adopt a show. We don't go out and sort of play, like we sound a bit like Tears for Fears, but
yeah,
we play as if we're like in like some like 90s punk band. That's
Yeah.
basically our attitude. Like,
Yeah.
and that, we love it that way. And I think our live sound is just like it's like us, but a lot more raw and kind of
Mm.
bigger sounding. I
Yeah.
think at some point we're probably going to look to do like a live EP, just because like we've had a few people say that like they like the album, they like us as a band, just like us live is like a
Yeah.
different thing. It's like its own beast. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a we put it all out there. We yeah, we don't just stand and look at our pedal boards.
Yeah, no, that's the key, isn't it? I think there's a lot of bands on the indie pop rock circuit who aren't high energy, put it that way. I'm going to say that now.
Yeah,
But the high
yeah,
energy
yeah,
ones are always the ones that I enjoy watching the most, because I
yeah.
don't go to live music to just listen. I go there to also
I
see
think
a show, right?
exactly. I think as well is like um when you get down to brass tacks, like your job is for that half hour or an hour or whatever, you're an entertainer.
Yeah,
Like you're a performer.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, you do your music, that's fine. But like they can listen to your album. You need something where people walk away and go, "Oh wow, that was a hell of a show you put on." Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? And
yeah.
people tend to like, and I get it. Like some people, it's just not an aspect they enjoy, or it's a kind of aspect where they don't necessarily feel comfortable. But for us, it's kind of like it's our second home. We want to get out there as much as we can, and you want to sort of come off with a stitch, tired, everything hurting. Do you know what I mean? Like you want to be like sweating.
Yeah,
That's what it should be because it's a live show. But
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. You give your all for a paying audience, don't you? And that's what it should
exactly.
be, 100% every night. Let's talk about the new single then. So you got the new single out, which came out this month.
Yeah.
It's called "The Light You Attract."
Yes.
And it's climbing up in your most streamed songs, and it's sitting on over 15,000, I think, now at the
Yeah.
moment, which is really good. So congratulations on the new single, I
Thank
should
you, mate.
say. Can you tell us what the single's all about and any stories to do with its conception?
Yeah. So the Light You Attract is basically um, it's like a bridge over between the album and the next batch
Mm.
of songs. We've gone a little bit, I wouldn't say darker, but I think a little bit more kind of mature, a bit more kind of
I
like
I I felt that when I listened to it,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's like a natural evolution. It's kind of
Mm.
we love pop music, and like I'll die on that hill that I literally
Yeah.
love pop music, but I also you want to get to that point where you want to do something a little bit more kind of not gloomy, but you kind of just want to do something a little bit more mature, maybe. And
Yeah.
it echoes of where we are at the moment as well. I think you kind of find your sound, and yeah, the album was a real smorgasbord of kind of
Mm.
pop songs and heavier songs, and because it rained like the albums, you got like Kiss Me Like You Miss Her, but then you also got like Kids Like Us, which is
Yeah.
the anti that song. It's like a pop song.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think with this new set of songs, we kind of wanted to make it a much more kind of uniform sound of a bit heavier, a little bit darker in tone. So it's like I think somebody else said it, where it's like if like the album was the night out, like the Light Your Tracks the day after, which
Yeah.
is the kind of it's sobering. It's a bit like the story is basically about in relationships where you find yourself to the point of you've gone beyond pettiness and it's that
Mm.
real disdain for somebody and you're sarcastic and you're nasty and it's that kind of what you can do as a person when you're vulnerable or when the other person's vulnerable or when you don't treat people very nicely and
Mm.
having that honest reflection of kind of the we're not painting either side in a nice light
Mm.
because in some things in life it's just well in fact in most things it's very rare that it's kind of good and bad or
Yeah.
good and evil. There's evil and good in everyone and in situations like that it's kind of it's an honest review of basically an end of a
Yeah. It's
relationship.
it's a nuanced take, isn't it, on it?
Yeah, I think that's there's so many songs about love and there's so many songs about like
Mm.
adoration and things like that. And I don't know about you, but like half the love songs that I've heard, like they don't relate or correlate to anything that's happened in my life. Do
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I've had some wonderful times being in love, and I've also had some times where it, you know, it makes you feel as small as you ever felt. But
Yeah,
like they're equally as important, those feelings. And I think
yeah,
you need to talk about them, and you need to be able to be honest. And I think when you speak honestly about something, it completely like neutralizes it because it
mm,
makes it feel very obtainable, very real thing to like talk about.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's basically about that. I know I went off a rabble there, sorry mate, but yeah.
No, 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 not a problem at all.
Yeah.
No, it's I like this because I'm a songwriter myself, so I
Okay.
this is why I love speaking to writers and I ask sort of songwriting questions more than anything
Yeah,
else,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because that's just what gets me going musically.
Yeah,
That's what I'm into, and I love hearing the stories behind songs, but also the the more sort of introspective side of it.
yeah,
I also like, when you say what you said there, it's like the morning after the night out, for example, because more and more I'm starting to get into matching music to moods, right?
yeah, yeah,
And instead of playing music to make me, you know, because I just want to hear it or to make me feel a certain way, more finding the music to fit the way I feel
yeah,
is kind of like where I'm looking now more as well. So I like the fact you said that as well. I think that
yeah.
was quite poignant for me right now. Yeah, congratulations on the new single and
Cheers, man.
congratulations on the
Yeah,
album as well. I should say, because I mean I've been listening to that album on quite heavy rotation, to be honest,
awesome.
since it came out. So yeah,
Oh,
I'm very
cool.
much a fan of the record. I need to ask you now though, what's in the future for Adult Leisure?
So we've got what have we got? There's a few things that are in the pipeline, which obviously I can't confirm yet, just purely because nothing's been confirmed. So pretty pointless me saying that. Um, no, so we've got the single just come out. We've got another single coming out in I think 10th of May,
Mhm.
and then 8 weeks after that. So we basically for this year we are having singles every couple of months
Yeah,
with the look potentially to then do another album early 2027. But I think for this year, we kind of got the album out. There's enough sort of material there, and then we just want to keep people happy by like
yeah,
releasing songs every now and then.
yeah,
And then plenty of festival dates coming up. We've got potentially going back to the US at some point. But at the moment, it's just kind of just getting over this jet lag, and then
yeah,
and then I'll be able to know what I'm doing in the next
yeah.
months.
Well, there's a lot of exciting stuff to come, and
Yeah, man.
the next single really actually isn't that far away when you look at the fact we're in late March now. So being
Yeah.
early May is really not that far. So lots of stuff to look forward to there.
Gary. Yeah.
Can you before we wrap up, can you let
Mm.
everybody know where they can find Adult Leisure and your music and socials and things
Yeah,
everywhere
of
all
course.
online?
Yeah, so it's adult. If you just Google adult leisure, be really careful.
Yeah,
It's adult leisure band. You can find us on Instagram, Spotify, and everything like that. We are everywhere.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so just Google adult leisure
Yeah, nice
carefully.
and easy. I will put
Mm.
links and stuff in the description below for people anyway, so they can
Yeah.
find it nice and easy from here. I would like to say a huge thank you to you, Dave, for coming on to Music
No worries,
Fishbowl. It's
man. It's
been
been lovely.
an
Thank you.
absolute
Yeah.
yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and it's been really interesting actually to find out about some of the other side of the industry. It's a side of the industry that a lot of artists don't want to talk about, things like the social media side and stuff as well. So that's
Yeah.
always really interesting to talk about. But yes, as I say, I want to say a huge thank you to you.
No worries, man.
We'll wrap up quickly after we finish recording, but
Yeah, cool.
yeah, thank you for coming on to Music Fishbowl.
No worries at all. Thank you very much for having me.
No problem.